You all might remember me as the one who often bitches about AI slop regarding bus and train content creators on YouTube in a Singapore context, as an outsider and not necessarily a local, which is ironic. Like, you can bitch about them as much as you want, but ultimately you gotta be able to produce something that's even better or even more relevant as compared to what they have produced. So today I will make fictional MRT lines. Fictional. But maybe with some degree of realism, I guess. You know these people, urbanists or new urbanists, and to be honest, I don't really know what's the difference between an urbanist and a new urbanist, but regardless of which country they come from, they are usually full of shit. Because these people, they hate cars so much and they hate medium to long distance buses or expressway buses so much to the point where they decide that it would be a good idea to literally dismantle expressways and build MRT viaducts over them. It's like no regard for any other form of land transport other than walking and taking the goddamn train or shifting those highways, expressways underground, which costs like a lot of money. And then usually these people would be like, hey, this country or city did it. Why can't we do it as well? Though all you have to remember is, like I usually say, we all live on planet Earth. These people, they talk as if they live on planet Pluto. I mean, technically, it has been demoted and is no longer a planet, but you get what I mean. They live on Pluto. The thing is, I could just sit here and make an MRT line from scratch, like right now. I do what LTA and MOT does. I take into consideration all the in real life constraints, infrastructural constraints, or when it comes to like capacity, like how big your train depot is, all these kinds of like real life constraints. I could do that. But the moment you try to do that, you would very soon realize that building new MRT lines in Singapore, like right now, isn't really very effective because all the highest corridors have already, I mean, all the highest demand, like quote unquote, corridors have already been served by existing train lines. And if you want to build like new MRT lines, right, the demand that you would get, sorry, like you have to be able to justify that your MRT line is sustainable for the amount of demand that you would be able to get from, let's say, the new MRT line that you want to design. And the more you actually try to do it, you will often run into the conclusion, like nowadays, that it's really not worth building these new MRT lines that would carry air. And so, because of that, it really restricts and limits what you could do or like what you could do with your creativity, especially when it comes to like fictional lines. So, in order for people to actually be able to more effectively showcase their talents without taking this phrase out of context in the sense that you dismantle expressways and you build MRT viaducts on existing expressways, stupid stuff like this, the only way you're able to actually make decent content out of this, I mean, obviously it's fictional, right? You let them turn back time to before all the major expressways were being built. Then, if you want your quote unquote transit oriented developments in the sense that you build your MRT viaducts and your new expressways together at the same time, not separate but together, I'm going to be showing you guys a few examples of how that could have been done. And obviously, I say that because it's fictional. There is no way you could carry out what I'm going to be showing you in real life, like today. So basically, I'm making this video because a lot of people take this thing out of context. So remember, keep in mind, the expressways haven't been built yet. We are turning back time. It's fictional. So that you guys can see how much it actually takes to, and the amount of like infrastructural concerns, cost-wise, stuff like that, how much it actually takes to make this thing a reality and why it's really not possible in most cases today. So it's more of like, I'm going to go full on fictional in an attempt to prove why such things are just not possible in real life today. I mean, Singapore's first MRT, it opened this year. But you turn back time. Let's say everybody already had the foresight. You could even say, okay, since this is fictional, right? Okay, North-South line might not be Singapore's first MRT line. Especially if things have turned out differently. Fictional line, but I will try my best to work with whatever is given to us nowadays. So like imagine if Singapore would have developed in a similar way as compared to today. It's just that, you know, I turn back time to remove some of the constraints per se. Let's start with this. So I will make this line Tengah to Seletar Airport, which is obviously different from what they're actually trying to do in real life, obviously, alignment wise. Here, I'm gonna probably put like a station here, and another one at Le Quest. The reason why I chose West Avenue 6 and not on top of here is because Le Quest is the main hub, so it makes sense to have like an MRT station here. And then I'm gonna make it follow Bukit Batok West Avenue 6. So follow here. There's nothing here at the moment, so this is okay. Interchange station, and then I will probably put another station somewhere along here ish. You could call it Bukit Batok East, and then let it follow East Avenue 3. This part over here, I'm gonna copy the actual alignment more or less of like the actual Tengah line, and then here is CRL Maju station, and then it's gonna, I mean, this is the real alignment anyway, and just copying it. So you drill underneath this area and just be careful not to destroy nature too much when you're building this MRT line. And you could have an MRT station here, call it like Holland Grove maybe, and then interchange Holland Village. The real Tengah line to Seletar Airport, the feasibility studies, they project this. But instead of doing that, I'm going to send this thing straight, and I'm gonna make use of the interchange provisions at Napier. So I'm just gonna do this. You could probably have like another station in between, like this. You don't necessarily have to turn your clock back to 1980. You could turn back time a little bit further, because again, this is all fictional. Napier, and then I'm going to make another station at somewhere around this area, Claymore or Delphi Orchard. Actually, no, that's like, I think that is way too near Orchard. Maybe I'm gonna push it back a little bit, like let's say around here, and then maybe it's gonna curve, interchange with Orchard, and then, okay, because the moment your MRT line touches Orchard, you are going to get demand. And that is my justification. And then it's going to curve upwards like this. It's gonna be very tight. That's the reason why I was like, okay, let it curve a little bit. It's okay if it's like a little slanted or something, so that it's gonna have enough space to be able to like curve properly like this. And then you build a station at Cane Hill. And because you haven't built CTE yet, let it follow CTE. Reason being, the Istana is here, and you don't really want to mess with that, so you curve it in such a way that it'll be able to avoid the restricted areas, assuming Singapore developed in the same way. Pardon if I spelt the names wrong. You could put a station here and call it Peak. I think it's like Peak Kill, and then you move up, put a station here, and you call it Wampo. So you get demand from this side, you get demand from this side. Again, assuming nothing here has been built yet, you assume this doesn't exist. And the reason why I say this is because, to be more specific, from one pole up north for a few stations, this would basically be the place where they get this kind of like Raffles Place or Bayfront like interchange configuration. And so it's like you could have like the top level being northbound and then the bottom level being southbound, kind of like in the same fashion as like Gulf Circle, Raffles Place. I mean Raffles Place is underground, but you get the idea. Bayfront as well. So yes, it's gonna be this, and then on the right side, I'll talk about it later. So yeah, this is one pole. It's gonna start getting jank because at this junction, right, instead of making this thing above ground, you might have to think of like, again, we turn back time. This one hasn't been planned yet, so you might have to shift this thing to cut underneath as opposed to like above ground, so that you would have enough space for your MRT viaducts, right? So just now it was one pole station, and then right now I'm gonna put another station like around here. You get demand from Toa Payoh East, you get demand from Potong Pasir. Inner Potong Pasir to be exact. And the very last station that I'm going to make like this kind of like Raffles Place like interchange is, you can call it like Bishan East, like Higashi Bishan or something along those lines. And then basically both lines will start to split. But now I'm talking about Tengah Line, right? So Tengah Line, I will make it continue upwards. Possibly one station around here. Now it's just one line. And then interchange with CRL Tavistock like this. You target IT College East. Another station here. Go up. And possibly one station here. And then, unfortunately, this area got deforested, so might as well send it across here. I don't even know if a station is needed here. Then, like this, one station here, and then you send it to, okay, maybe another station here, like Thanggam West-ish. And finally, Seletar Airport, but it doesn't stop there. This is the terminal station. In real life, with all the physical infrastructural constraints that we have nowadays, it is just not possible to squeeze in any more MRT lines that go into the CBD, like actually cut through it. But if you turn back time as usual, Tanjong Pagar, you could make it like a terminal station, and if people complain that it doesn't touch Prince Edward, okay, fine. I'm going to make an unpaid link. You can have all your underground travelators, which again is gonna cost money, blah blah blah. The reason why I don't want to deal with like Prince Edward is because this station, it's like there is already an overrun, like a turnaround. There is already CCL6, and then there is already the real life future Circle Line Sentosa branch line. Like there's a connection track from, I mean, between the main line and the branch line as well. Like I told you, whether Circle Line, Sentosa branch line, it's gonna turn into like a bidirectional circular line, or it's gonna turn into like a bidirectional line with a dead end that extends to Sentosa west-ish, Siloso. Like whatever the case is, Circle Line Sentosa branch line in real life is going to exist. And it's already, this station is already going to be like complicated enough in terms of like infrastructural and then to construct it, blah 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 blah. I don't really know how to say it properly, but you get the idea. I don't really want to squeeze in another line at Prince Edward, so I'm just gonna do it at Tanjong Pagar. I'm gonna let the thing go up Robinson Road, probably place like another station here, and that's pretty much it. And I could somehow get it to curve in such a way, like vaguely follow the road, vaguely follow the roads like this, and maybe have like a station here as well. You can even name it like Singapore River Station. How about that? And I will be very honest, I haven't really thought a lot about this part, but let's just say, I don't know, like maybe one here, maybe one here. Follow Northbridge Road. The only way I'm even able to get this line to curve properly is like this, and then I somehow make it, sorry, I somehow make it curve like that, just at the edge of like this. I don't know what I'm talking about. Curve like that, basically. Maybe one here, and then I don't know, maybe another interchange station here. And you get where this is going. Yes. This. And then, assuming this doesn't exist, this is the only way I'm gonna be able to make this thing curve. And then here comes all the interchange shenanigans. Interchange, interchange, interchange. And then like this. And then this is where it will split. So I will split it like this. Okay, Lorong Chuan, nice. Follow the road shape again. Possibly put a station at Boundary Road and then make it curve up to Yio Chu Kang Link. Like this concept isn't even new or anything. I've talked about it before. Like I don't know how many MRT stations you want to put here, and then okay, maybe one more here. Because seriously, even though I have said time and again that the interchange station provisions, like the station box, is at Tavistock and not Serangoon North, but since either like the train enthusiasts or the non-train enthusiasts or just transport enthusiasts in general, they cannot decide. They still cannot decide between like Tavistock or Serangoon North. But since this is entirely fictional, right? Okay, well, how about we have both? Okay, Serangoon North then. Then maybe another station over here. Actually, is it worth to put another station here and call it like, I don't know, West Hougang, Nishi Hougang, the Ang Mo Kio GRC side of Hougang, And then maybe here, Lorong Buangkok, Kampong Buangkok, whatever you want to call it. Basically, just let it follow. Just copy the alignment of like this road in general. Like maybe one here. I know there's access penalty, but I have no choice. I'm just following the road, like what we usually do. Like this, like this. And yeah, you kind of get the idea. Then terminate. So why did I do all of this? Because I want transit-oriented development. I don't want. I want to like as much as possible. I want to reduce the amount of branching I get. So I was like, okay, why not I kind of have like this kind of like configuration instead, and then this is gonna be like 3 stations in between are gonna be interchanges, something along those lines. So one line is gonna be like this, and then another line it's gonna be like this, roughly. And then obviously Wampo, Toa East, and Potong Pasir, and then the quote-unquote Bishan East station. So 3 interchanges. The reason why I decide not to do this and this is because people deserve a direct ride from CBD to the more populated area, meaning like Yio Chu Kang Road, Layar, and Kupang, like that general area. I don't want them to transfer. I want them to have like a direct ride. I am providing them like transfer opportunities, but I still want it to be a direct ride. And then this section is gonna be the lower demand section. It's like this section there's already gonna be like demand. So it doesn't really matter if like this section doesn't really have that much demand. And it's not totally useless because this red line, it passes by the fringe of Ang Mo Kio, which is east, and then it's like there is IT College Central as well, and then it passes by a little bit of Jalan Kayu. It's still going to get demand. It's not going to be really high or anything, but that is the reason why I even provided the transfer stops in the first place. Is because yes, the main purpose of this line is to take people from like west to Ang Mo Kio and northeast, and then this is to take people from CBD to you know that general area, like Yio Chu Kang Road, Kampong Buangkok, Lorong Buangkok, wherever you call it, and then the Layar and Kupang area. So it's like this one is one purpose. This one is another purpose. But I still want to facilitate transfers like between like this and between like this as well. And yeah, it's a cross-platform transfer like this. Keep in mind, for this to actually work in the past, because this is fictional, in the past, this section over here and CTE have to be constructed together for it to be truly considered transit-oriented development. You cannot just slap a viaduct on an existing expressway and call it transit-oriented development. Because that would simply be just brute force shoving an MRT line where it clearly doesn't belong. And that notion is not called transit-oriented development. Transit-oriented development means you plan everything from the start. The expressway that you are going to construct is being integrated with MRT viaducts. Like you're building them together as one package. You're not building the expressway first and then years later you decide to run an MRT line on top of it. That's not called transit-oriented development. That's just simply called a mistake. And usually in a lot of these like I make my own MRT line video, it's not that they didn't even declare that their creations were like fictional or anything. They are like, oh, this is my actual suggestion for an MRT line that should be built. So it's like, I am already expecting some form of like degree of realism in their clearly not fictional suggestions. And yet, what I get is people, be it transport enthusiasts or not knowing how to explain and justify. And the way they justify it's gonna be something like, oh, it's not gonna be like the way I explain. Okay, you look up here and you look up here. Is there anything you can? Is there any place you can possibly get catchment from? It's not like this. They're gonna this is one common tactic that they use. They're gonna be like, oh, it cuts through the town of Bishan, and this is the population size of Bishan, and I think it is really effective for this MRT line to pass through this area, possibly getting all the catchment from this area. Like, usually when I watch those videos, it's usually these, like, dumb blonde explanations that are just not in depth enough. And it's like their explanations are just overly simplistic, and it's only like, oh, I passed through this town has catchment, that kind of thing. And this is exactly coming from the same group of people that often yap about, why Outram Park isn't like a cross-platform transfer between East West Line and Thompson East Coast Line. It's like, it's the same people who yap about like completely unrealistic things, and yet when they go about doing their fictional MRT lines, they are not even able to justify why there is a need for like a cross-platform transfer. And furthermore, they're not even able to justify the design of their overall line, and all they think about is really simplistically like, oh, my MRT line passes through all the highest catchment areas. I pass through this town which has like a population size of this and this and that. The way they explain it is like really, really haphazard. And often they even ignore the fact it's like their suggestions are supposed to be realistic, but they forget that like MRT lines have to more or less follow the road alignments in the first place, like realistically. Like the reason why I often call them AI slop is because they just like, they just put an image, oh, like a nice image that they took from Google Images, and then they will be like, oh, station code, station name, and the justification is like, it's them trying to justify every single station without trying to actually justify the alignment or overall design of their MRT lines. And again, their explanations are like, it's very like, I'm trying to feed people from these areas to the CBD, and it's all this very like low level explanations. Whereas the way you should be explaining is why there needs to be a justification to design the expressway and the MRT line. Like, I mean, in theory, not that you're gonna implement this in real life. Like, why there is a need to sandwich an MRT station in between two towns? Simply because maximum catchment. I mean, I am kind of talking about maximum catchment, right? But the way that these people they try to justify, it's not strong enough, and it's also not like they really thought about, oh, this is going to be a cross-platform transfer. Oh, I'm going to be shifting this viaduct underground instead because it hasn't been planned yet, right? So instead of having like this thing over here, instead of like letting it cut over, I'm gonna make it cut under instead. It's like I try to justify things to the best of my ability and offer reasons as to why it has to be this alignment. Whereas the way a lot of these other content creators they go about doing it is that they are like, say, oh, I'm gonna run the MRT line over here. I'm going to put a station here. Bam, bam, catchment. It's like their justifications aren't strong enough, and when I look at the way they explain, it's clear that like they have not taken into account a lot of things when suggesting an MRT line, be it fictional or non-fictional. Like overall, it just feels like as if they just haven't put a lot of thought into it. And if you realize, I try to do more than one MRT line at the same time. I don't just do one line. I'm not like the kind of content creator that's like, oh, I'm going to come up with a fictional MRT line and then I'll just do it like, oh, this is one line. Oh, I have another idea. This is another line. No, I try to make it one package, like holistically. That's the reason why I even try to like make interchanges like this. Because I am thinking about overall how would this benefit people. More specifically, how would the cross-platform transfer benefit people? And then I also think about this like from one end to another. Like you have one, two, three, four. Should I stitch them together like this, or should I stitch them together like this? Like what exactly am I prioritizing? Like which from where to where do I want the zero transfers? As opposed to like other content creators being like, oh, I make alignment, I make station, catchment, 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 catchment. And you know why I made it like this? It's because this is more or less like a restricted area. And then there are like height limits as well. This one is also a restricted area. It's an airbase for a reason. So therefore, I cannot just like, oh, I cannot just make a railway line just cut through like this. So I have to find other ways to make these MRT lines terminate. Like, when I see the authorities, them talking about like the feasibility studies and stuff like that, straight away I am thinking of, hey, how is it possible that you're actually gonna do this, do this, do this, or like make the MRT line go Seletar Airport and then like this? Like, how exactly are you gonna do that? Like, I don't know who owns Seletar Airport per se, but I'm pretty sure you cannot just like do it like this, right? And then if you do it like this, you're obviously missing out on Seletar Airport as a whole. I'm pretty sure the entrance is like around here. Correct me if I'm wrong. And sorry, in the midst of this, I forgot to name my MRT lines. Okay, one of them I named it Tengah Line. The one from Tengah to Seletar Airport. And then the one from CBD to Layar and Kupang as well. I'm just gonna name that Fernvale Line, like MRT line. I know some other people have like a Fernvale LRT kind of concept, but mine is not that. Mine is Fernvale Line. I'm gonna name this Tengah Line. I'm gonna name this Fernvale Line. So now watch. I am going to make Seletar Line, but not in the way that you would think about. So terminal is probably around here. Honestly, I don't really know how to make the connections better, but okay. Terminal station, and then I'm probably gonna make like another station around here ish, and then probably another station here called like Woodlands Industrial or something. This general area is like meant to be like a private estate, so I don't really want to mess with that. So after this Woodlands Industrial site, I'm just gonna put like a station around here. You can call it like Sembawang North if you want. And then I'm gonna make it so that this thing kind of... Okay, and I'm gonna draw it better. Okay, like this. Yeah, like this. Then I'm gonna make it like this. Follow the road again. I'm not sure how many stations I want to put in between, honestly. I'm gonna make full use of Yishun Avenue 8. Like, okay, where's the... I put a station here, right? So I could probably put one here, and then I put another one here, which is like to the east of Canberra, whatever. I also honestly haven't really thought about exactly how many stations I want to put in between. Then again, you could debate on whether it's better to send it inside Yishun Avenue 6 somehow, or just let it run parallel along Yishun Avenue 8. I mean, whatever you want, right? It's up to you. Like maybe like this, and then I don't know. I haven't really thought about this part. But essentially, what I'm gonna do is just send this thing up here, and essentially, right, let my Seletar line interchange with this Tengah line, interchange with this Fernvale line, and basically this is gonna become its own line. So I made my lines interchange in such a way that my Seletar line would skirt around the edges of like Seletar Airport rather than like cutting straight through, which opens up a can of worms because restricted area. I don't want to deal with that, so I'm just gonna make everything interchange like this since the roads are already kind of like aligned nicely. Because if you want it to be like above ground, you cannot put an above ground station here for obvious reasons. If you want to make it elevated, right? I mean, sorry, not above ground, but like elevated. If you want it to be an elevated station, taking into account like the flight paths and everything, it has to be considerably far away enough from the main airport or airbase area. So this is why I chose to make everything kind of like far away from the flying zones basically. And also so that I could tie in together all three of the lines nicely. My main intent is not just to like interchange like a seamless transfer or anything. No, it's just to tie into it nicely so that people coming from Seletar line, they could transfer like this, they could transfer like this as well. Okay, continuing on. Oh, sorry. Because it's fictional, right? Assuming this hasn't been built, right? I'm just gonna make it curve like this. And then probably build an MRT station around here. Probably build another one here. Send it down Pongo Way. Again, what I mean by some degree of realism is I'm trying to do this so that I could realistically skirt around the restricted area. You could even name this like what? Shin Sengkang or something, and then let it go down. Like this is what I tell people, don't interchange just for the sake of interchanging. It's supposed to take away demand from Northeast Line that are heading like southeastwards. So it makes no sense for it to interchange with Northeast Line. It's supposed to spread out the demand a little bit. So let's say even if you have like a Shin Buangkok station here, right? And then this gives it enough room for it to be able to curve like this. And then, I don't know, you could probably build another station here-ish. You could probably have another station here. And then let it go to PLAB. And yeah, basically from PLAB, right? Just let it cut across here. You could have one station here, and then you could interchange it with Bedok North. Gonna be a bit jank, but you know, since this is like under construction, haha, I'll probably make it go like this. Then Bedok. Unfortunately, this will have to be an unpaid link. Probably add like one station over here named Chai Chi or something. And then put another station like around here-ish. And then for my Seletar line, let it run across like this, interchange, and then send it to Long Island. And finally, this is another line, but JRL's like West Coast extension, right? If you had enough foresight, you could be like, oh, this thing could actually turn into its own MRT line. So they wanted Kentridge, right? So you could continue on actually, like put Normanton and then just follow AYE again. Assuming AYE hasn't been built yet, you're trying to transform Ayer Rajah Road and Upper Ayer Rajah Road into AYE plus an MRT viaduct above. You build both at once carefully. I'm also not sure like when exactly do you want your MRT viaduct to like eat into AYE sort of thing, but you could like put a station here. I'm not gonna be putting a station at like freaking Queensway or Jalan Bukit Merah because the density like up here and down here is like way too low to even justify having an MRT station. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna put it here instead. Like this, like this, like this, like this, and then maybe one station around here ish, and then let it do the interchange with Keppel, GSW, and then this thing could basically go to like Long Island ish, and then intercept TL at Laguna Station again, something along those lines. One reason why I'm proposing all of this is because I am not a huge fan of like the actual proposed alignment of Tengah line, which is, I don't know how it's supposed to go, but it's supposed to like cut through GSW and then cut through Keppel and then something along those lines. I'm not really a fan of this. This is kind of like a mirror image of Thompson East Coast Line, and it basically intentionally meanders away, like basically avoids CBD. So it's not like it's gonna do a good job at like offloading demand or anything. And in fact, it's just gonna push more people towards TL or CCL depending on context. I would rather see, I know it's impossible for an MRT line to cut through the CBD nowadays, but again, this is why I brought up the we turn back time and we build everything from scratch again point. But honestly, the moment you have like one transfer or anything, right? This is already not gonna. At least downtown line cuts through downtown station, Telok Ayer as well. But this one doesn't. You still have to transfer to like Thompson East Coast Line or CCL Circle Line to even be able to like access these areas. And then this thing just like intentionally avoids CBD, so it's not really gonna do a good job at funneling people towards the CBD in the first place. So yeah, this is why I came up with it. So quick recap. How many lines have I made so far? This, 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 and then I don't know what to name this. But it's basically, I'm just gonna state the terminating points so that it's easier to understand. This one is gonna be Tengah to Seletar Airport via Orchard. This one is going to be CBD to, I'm just gonna put here Sengkang West ish, and then it's gonna intercept at Seletar North Link. This one, I made it somewhere like Woodlands North to Bedok South, and then you could continue to Long Island as well. And then this one, I extended it from Kent Ridge, and then it's gonna cut through Long Island, and then it's gonna terminate at Laguna MRT, which is TL Laguna. I'm not sure whether this would eventually become a thing, but again, this is fictional, so it's okay. Sorry, just in case it's not clear enough, I'm just gonna like segregate it so you guys know what belongs to what. I think this is like much clearer now. Placement of depots, like this is one thing a lot of people they tend to forget as well. So nowadays they love to do like Kim Chuan Depot 2-in-1 or like ECID 3-in-1 kind of thing, right? Yeah, we could do the same as well. Bishan Depot, again, if this area was better planned, you could have like a mini depot that's like this. Maybe like Bishan Depot would be first story, and then this thing would be second story. And the reason why it would be second story is because this thing is on the viaduct and this thing is ground level, so maybe Bishan Depot could have a second floor. I mean, theoretically speaking, and then yeah, we could have some sort of like MRT line like this. I mean, we could have this MRT line having I mean, this could be one of the depots for this MRT line, which is gonna be my Tengah line basically. And if my Tengah line and Fernvale line, they share the same rolling stock, like let's say it's just another north, south, east, west line clone, ideally it should be the same rolling stock so that this thing could be the depot for NSL, for Tengah line, and for my Fernvale line as well. So okay, 3-in-1. Although to be honest, this space is too small to be a 3-in-1, so okay, it's more of like this thing is probably not gonna be the main depot. It could be just a space to like store trains. I mean, it's a depot as well, but whatever. Again, space constraints. It's quite small, right? You cannot just like it's just not as simple to put it that way. So yeah, you could have. I don't know if it's gonna be considered like a 2-in-1 or a 3-in-1, but the main point is that yeah, we could have a depot here, but with limited capacity. And if you really want to put a depot somewhere, you probably have to like think of this space. Maybe you have to like reclaim a little bit more land or what. Hopefully it's not eating into Malaysia's territory or anything, but you could think of it. So yeah. Then for this one, I'm not sure if it's feasible to let RTS link and this line to share a depot, kind of like in the empty space. Where is the empty space again? I think it's yeah. So it's like there is a lot of empty space here, right? So we could make a depot for RTS link, just like I know it's fictional, and then make another depot for this one. Yeah, I think it's doable. So yeah, this one's resolved as well, and then this one we could use Tengah depot again because I haven't really thought really in depth about everything since this is fictional. Yeah, I haven't. That's why I haven't really thought about like the depot placements in general. But it still could be done despite my own routes being mostly fictional. The reason why this video is choppy is because I want to show people that I am like planning out loud together with you, and it's not like, oh, I rehearsed this beforehand and I'm like making it into a video. No, that's not what I'm trying to show. Every single difficulty in explanation and planning, I want to show this aspect to like my viewers. And yes, I kind of have a cold right now, so yeah. I'm not the best. I'm not in the best like physical state to be doing this video right now, but here I am doing this video. But the main point is that you saw what I tried to do. And you see all the in real life constraints that is required to build a good, sustainable, functioning MRT line. So a lot of like my own routes that I've proposed, not really proposed, that I made, like fictional routes that I made, they are not possible to be implemented in real life because of real infrastructural constraints. Even though on paper, this might be like the best alignment, blah, 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 but there is a reason why the best alignments cannot materialize in the real world for different reasons. And when you try to choose like an inferior alignment, like what they try to do with like Tengah line, doing this, right? There's a reason why sometimes they have in real life they have to opt for like the quote unquote inferior alignments skirting around CBD as opposed to actually going inside CBD, but for legitimate reasons. And it's also to help you guys understand how much it actually takes to make transit-oriented development. And when I mean that, NSE is one example, like North-South Expressway. Like they want to have like what? bicycle lanes, and then they want to have like full day bus lanes, or is it bus lanes or something? They want to have all of these, but everything has to be planned. They need to have foresight. Everything has to be planned right from the very start for these things to happen. You cannot just be like, oh, I want to put like an MRT line above the expressway. I want to put an MRT line above the express. No, it doesn't work like that. A lot of thought and consideration has to be put into these kinds of like projects. I really, me trying to build like four MRT viaducts. I mean, it's like it's two lines, but it's like one above, one below, one above, one below, so it's kind of like four, right? Even making this kind of thing, it takes up space. And when your MRT occupies space, right, you would then have less space to be able to expand your expressway in the first place. And the thing is, this will only be possible if CTE and NSE, they both existed. They both like coexisted hand in hand, and it's not like CTE came before NSE or these sort of things. But you see how difficult it is to actually do this in real life, because there is not much. It's not easy to carve out space, above an expressway to carry out what I suggested, right? Like for CT, you only have like this much space, and you cannot sacrifice too much space just because you want MRT lines that like run above it. And even when you have MRT lines running above it, you need to justify, you look here, is there enough catchment to be able to properly sustain, either for short or long distance commuters, like both. You need to be able to justify whether this kind of arrangement is sustainable or not. And the moment I come up with like my Salitre line, there will probably be extremists that are like, let's take this opportunity to wipe out 16. No, 168 serves like a completely different catchment. It serves Tampines, it serves TP bus stop, and it serves the southern part of Woodlands and not the northern part of Woodlands. That alone makes it so that you cannot just withdraw these bus routes. Like, even my Salitre line has got no relation to this, no relation to this, no relation to this, no relation to this at all. I didn't make my MRT lines to rationalize away bus services. If anything, it's more of like, hey, instead of running 512, instead of running 511, maybe an MRT line would solve that, because they have already been withdrawn. And if they have to be revived, they could only be revived in the form of like CDS, right? So it's more of like, instead of like going full on CDS spam, why not some corridors we try to resolve it with MRT, and the remaining areas that cannot be resolved with MRT or are just a lot better with buses because they are more direct and doorstep, those we could resolve with CDS. And even if some CDSs have like full day potential in some sort, we could then think about it, because we don't go all out spamming CDS. The areas that are better with rail, we run rail. The areas that are better with bus, we run all the buses and all the CBDs. And because it's a lot more flexible now that you don't really have to go all out spamming CDSs, you could then decide which CDSs do you want to prioritize. Either run more trips or adjust the operation hours or stuff like that. So even in this context, right, maybe this side we will have more railway, and this side that it's just not possible to run any railway, we will focus on bus instead. So this is how you should go about, even if it's fictional, this is exactly how you should go about thinking about things, rather than I want to build more MRT lines to kill off all the bus services, that kind of thing.